So yesterday, right before we went live, earth-shattering news hit college football as it was announced that five-star linebacker, one of the best prospects in all of high school football, Sammy Brown, had committed to the Clemson Tigers over the likes of the Georgia Bulldogs and the Oklahoma Sooners. And of course, today, that's exactly where we're going to start. Because we need to talk about why this is such a big win for Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers, but we also need to talk about the ripple effects that could affect both the Georgia Bulldogs and the Oklahoma Sooners. But before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you surprised that Sammy Brown committed to Clemson over Oklahoma and Georgia? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below, as those interactions seem small. They are massive to content creators such as myself, and we're on a push to 20,000 subscribers. I'd love to have you a part of this unbelievable community. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And first and foremost, who is Sammy Brown? Even though I'm sure most of you are familiar with Sammy Brown stands 6'2", 230 pounds, and plays his high school football out of Jefferson, Georgia. He is one of the best prospects in all of high school football, regardless of position, where if we look at the 24/7 Sports rankings themselves and not the composite, 24/7 Sports has him as a top 5 prospect in the nation, coming in at number 5, the number 1 linebacker in the nation, and the number 1 player in the state of Georgia, a state always loaded with talent. But if we look at the 24/7 Sports composite rankings, they tell a similar story, where Sammy Brown comes in as a top 15 prospect in the nation, the number 2 linebacker in the nation, and a top 5 player in the state of Georgia. So no matter how you slice it, this is one of the best prospects in the nation, regardless of position. And personally, I lean a little bit more to the 24/7 Sports rankings that has him as a top 5 prospect, the number 1 linebacker. And there are some really solid linebackers in the class of 2024, and Sammy Brown leads the charge. At 6'2", 230 pounds, this is someone that's recorded sub-11 second 100-meter dashes. That is just insane, especially at the linebacker position. And we now need to discuss what this means for the Clemson Tigers. And let's look macro first. What does this mean for Clemson's 2024 class? Well, it puts them inside the top 20 recruiting classes in the nation at 17, and they are one of only a handful of teams that can say that they hit the top 20 classes in the nation with less than 10 commits. So for where we are in the summer, we always talk about on this channel that recruiting heats up during the summer. This is exactly where you want to be if you're Clemson. You have a phenomenal foundation that you get to head into the summer with and build the rest of your class, because there's nothing but time and opportunity in front of you. And the other thing I really wanted to talk about is what a big win this is for Dabo Swinney and Wes Goodwin. We need to understand the implications of this battle. This was a unique battle in the sense of Sammy Brown had long-standing relationships with the Georgia Bulldogs, with Dabo Swinney and Clemson, and with Brent Venables. Sammy Brown has been camping with the Tigers for years now, and he's been able to build up that relationship. So whenever we were talking about this battle, it was truly a unique one. Now, personally, I always kind of erred on the side that he would end up at either Clemson or Georgia, but you couldn't count out Brent Venables. You know what he does with the linebacker position, and he had built a long-standing relationship with the very talented linebacker. But I don't think there's any understating what a big win this is for Dabo Swinney and Wes Goodwin, how good of a job they did here. This is A-plus work by both of them, and I think they just showed everybody in college football, hey, you cannot overlook us. We are still Clemson. And that's awesome to see. I can't wait to see what the rest of their class looks like. But we now need to transition into the second topic. What are the ripple effects that could be felt from this? And if you tuned into the live stream last night, you may have heard PG of the PG Show and I talking about this. And one of the things we talked about is, what are the Georgia Bulldogs going to do? The Georgia Bulldogs currently have another 5-star linebacker in their class, DeMarcus Riddick, but he hails from the state of Alabama. And the Crimson Tide are going to do everything in their power to flip the very talented 5-star linebacker from the state of Alabama. That's not to say that they will do it. Trying to flip a prospect from Georgia can be notoriously difficult, but it's Alabama. That's going to be an insane battle. That's going to be one that's so much fun to watch. But Where will Georgia turn their attention? And this is something PG and I talked about on the live. And the name we both talked about was the 5-star linebacker out the state of Texas, Justin Williams. Because earlier I was talking about where Sammy Brown ranked in the 24/7 Sports Composite, where he was a top 15 prospect and the number 2 linebacker in the nation. Well, per that same composite, Justin Williams ranks as the number 1 linebacker in the nation, though he already has a crystal ball inserted in Oregon's favor. But now that Georgia has lost out on Sammy Brown, they could turn their attention to the very talented linebacker from the state of Texas. And this gets me to the larger conversation, because these ripple effects won't just affect Oregon or Georgia, they will affect the Oklahoma Sooners. Because once we arrive at who Georgia will turn their attention to, we need to then figure out who Justin Williams' teammate is. 4-star defensive lineman, top 75 prospect in all of high school football, regardless of position, Joseph Jonah Ajonye. The defensive lineman who the Oklahoma Sooners want real bad, but he just got out of a visit from Georgia and by all reports loved his time there. Loved it so much that Steve Wiltfong dropped a crystal ball in the Bulldogs' favor just this morning. And so if the Georgia Bulldogs are looking to mitigate the loss of Sammy Brown, it makes complete sense that they would double down on their efforts of not only Justin Williams, but Joseph Jonah Ajonye, someone who they were already going after, but now you can bet your bottom dollar they're going to turn up the heat on that pitch, because not only will they get a top 100 prospect in the nation, one of the best defensive line prospects in the nation, but they can also have another end to his very talented teammate, the 5-star linebacker, Justin Williams. So this is something we have to watch. Ripple effects are very fascinating to me in college football, and Sammy Brown committing to Clemson could send ripple effects that affect the Oklahoma Sooners in their pursuit of the most necessary position group in the 2024 cycle for them, that interior defensive line. It also sends ripple effects to Oregon, who's after the 5-star linebacker, Justin Williams, who I believe Georgia will fully turn their attention to now that Sammy Brown is off the board. This is something we have got to keep up with, because this is going to give us fireworks. Do you believe that Georgia can successfully land Joseph Jonah Ajonye away from the Oklahoma Sooners? And do you believe they can land the 5-star linebacker? I can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See you.